And I'm not saying that we are doctors. I'm just using the analogy that if laughter is the best medicine and I'm a comedian, 13, almost 14 years into comedy now, I have the experience not just on stage, but in life. What made these transitions easier for me, that statement sounds hilarious, by the way. Learning more about what my ancestors believed as opposed to going off of what I was told they believed. What is it like to have to be funny and promote comedy when you're mourning? It's weird, and at the same time, laughter isn't just the best medicine for the audience, you know? It's also the best medicine for the doctor. Laughter is the best medicine, period. And I'm not saying that we are doctors. I'm just using the analogy that if laughter is the best medicine and I'm a comedian, then that kind of in this phrase makes me the doctor of the situation. And you know, doctors going into surgery, like, steady hands. You have to be. And I'm sure, like, imagine a doctor in like a crisis zone or something, you know, like a wartime doctor or something like this. Like, you're acknowledging and absorbing like all the sadness and negativity and death or whatever around you. But you still have a job to do, and you still have people that depend on you. And I'm not saying that, again, I'm not relating comedy and doing comedy shows to the same as that. And not like the audience is even depending on me. You know, I could have definitely canceled the show. It was brought up to me that I didn't have to do it. But I was in the energy to do it. It was, if anything, it was for the memory of my family, you know? And I'm just grateful that 13, almost 14 years into comedy now, I have the experience not just on stage, but in life. I've experienced the death things. I've experienced traumatic things happening in the space of comedy. It's never been this, like, heavy, you know? But I've had the experiences, so I knew that I was okay to get through it. And now to get to probably the main reason why I wanted to jump on this recording, bro, because we're all dealing with stuff, you know? And there's no one thing that makes any trauma easier to get through or to go through. But I promise you, what made these transitions easier for me, that statement sounds hilarious, by the way, especially given the it's 2024, so you can't say transition anymore. The dealing with the deaths. The nigga's trans now? What has made it easier for me to cope, I guess, for lack of a better term, is I have spent a lot of time the last 2 years specifically, but since I was around the age of 22, which is when I started comedy. I do the intros, the introspection, like I do the reflection, you know? I do the meditation, I do the reflections, I do the prayers, whatever you want to call them. And on top of that, I've been doing a lot of just research. I'm Ethiopian. I was born in Greece, so it started with that. I just started to learn more about Ethiopia and African customs and Greeks and Greece and Greek customs and all this stuff. And then honestly, kind of seeing how Greek went into Egypt, took all the Egypt stuff, and then seeing how even Egypt got what it got from the rest of Africa, from the rest of like Samaria, and whether you want to believe it or not, probably parts of North America. But just seeing the connection of everything, learning more about what my ancestors believed as opposed to going off of what I was told they believed. Like, for me, being an Ethiopian, being an African, I grew up Christian, but I grew up thinking like my ancestors were pagans, you know, like they worshipped multiple deities. You know, you look at the Egyptian stuff and it's like, oh, the Egyptians had multiple gods and they worshiped multiple gods and idols and idol worship and all this. Double middle finger to all the friggin' Eurocentric BS that made me look at my own ancestry like it was demonic. It's far from it. And realistically, what you like to call Abrahamic religions, your Catholics, your Christians, your Jews, your Muslims, all of it is from ancient Egypt, which is from ancient. And it's up to you to kind of do that work. This is a comedy podcast. I'm not going to go too far heavy into that. I'm just letting you know that learning about my lineage, learning about my ancestry, and learning about, let's see, I'll phrase it this way, learning about spiritual sciences. What has now become religion started off not as organized religion, and kind of going back to that. And already being a spiritual person myself and having my own experiences to draw from in life, I feel like I said this on the Disciplined Stoners podcast, which will be out in like a week or two. Shout outs to the Disciplined Stoners crew. I had a blast. That's probably my favorite podcast that I've been a guest on ever. Best conversation. I'll definitely highlight it on the page. And we talked a lot about just life, about philosophy, and how that blends with comedy and all that stuff. And I'm just so grateful that I did all that work to really bridge the gap between what religion like muddied up and made me not a non-believer, but religion will put a bunch of BS on a bunch of real spiritual systems, some metaphysical stuff. And I already don't believe that we go to the dirt. Realistically, I believe that you go wherever you think, because if we're talking about hermetic principles, and the first principle is all is mind, and then this whole thing is a thought anyways. So wherever you tell yourself you're going, baby. So prep your mind before you prep anything else. And just having a better understanding and idea and connection with my ancestors and the lineage that has come before me for me to exist has like completely changed how I view death and transitioning. Given the deaths that I've experienced in my 20s, being some of my best friends at the time, and another good friend, versus what I'm experiencing now, it's like night and day. I'm more actually able to acknowledge a celebratory side of life in death and not be so mournful or crying all the time. And I let it pass. You let it all pass. But what was super weird was having to do a comedy album. But what I'm so grateful for is the work that I do off stage clearly has done something. Because I just feel at peace, I feel calm, and I feel prepared even in the midst of chaos. Order comes out of chaos, and I finally have acknowledged how I can do both. How I can maintain order or maintain chaos or create chaos and create order out of that chaos. And it definitely showed, because that I'm super proud of how especially that 8 o'clock taping went. Damn.